Hi, I'm going to show how to set up signal masked logic on these 5 bays, and what I'm going to use is do it with UK, home and distant masts. So I'm going to start off by go through to preferences, and I'm going to use CMRI. That's the system I'm using. As you can see, got lots of other ones. I'm using CMRI. I'm only going to use it as a simulator to play around with it, and we're going to save that. But before we go any further, we can also configure some nodes to be able to use it, and I'm going to add a node, and for me I'm using address 0, and it's a USIC, SUSIC. I don't know what the differences are. Obviously there are differences. I'm going to use 32-bit, and I'm going to make the first card an input card, and the card 1 an output card. That should give us plenty of hardware addresses, and we'll add that node. Done, and it'll ask us to save it. What we'll do is I'm going to save this now and then restart it all. Save, restart. Hopefully everything will come back up again. Right, so I'll go to, it comes again. Get rid of that light table. So I'm going to, yeah, my layout, demos, 5-bay demo. I can get rid of that. That was legacy from other testing. And here's my 5 bays that I had previously put up. I'm going to go to tables, sensors, and I'm going to create 10 sensors. So the hardware address will start at 1, the username, make it easy, sensor 1, and we're going to create 10 all in one hit, and create them. And now we've got the boards populated. I'll just put that down to the bottom. Right, the next bit we're going to go to is go through the blocks. I like to make the main line. Ooh, made a mess of that one. We'll go to main line. Go edit it. Come up. Edit. Main line. Block 1. And then create and edit the block. I like to see it, make it bright. So I'm afraid I'm going to go to yellow. Sensors. Now this is the sensor for the block. Probably be I tend to use current detection, but yeah, you can use the IR sensors along it, or somewhere in the middle. So I've got sensor 1, okay, done, and we'll carry on. Block 2. And sensor 2. What I'll do is I'm going to pause there. I'm going to pause the recording there. and then once I've done that, I'll come back in again. So now populated all my block sections. I've named them 1 to 5, and I've given them each of them a sensor. So the next thing I want to do is I can check whether they're working. I'll go to Tools, Tables, Sensors, and click on each one. Yeah, they're working. Okay, so I'll minimize that one. Well, that one is anyway. Block 1. I'll make the assumption the other blocks are working. The next thing we need to do is go to Tables and Signals, and we've got to create a load of signal heads. And the first two we need for signal master logic, because the way signal master logic works is it's got to go from one signal to the next and work out, and you daisy chain it. And obviously we've got the ends of the tracks here, here, and here. So we need to make some signal heads there. Now, if this was on the real thing, they don't have to be real signals. You could have just a red lamp or a red flag on a buffer stop. So that's what we're going to create. I'm going to put one on each end. So if we have one on the left hand and one on the right hand, it's worthwhile trying to get oriented with east, west, north and south, the cardinal points, because JMRI, when you get further into this, will ask for whether the track is heading east or west, south or north, rather than left, right, up and down. So the first thing we need to do is create a couple of signal heads, and what we're going to use is virtual. The two on the end only need to be virtual. And we have system name, and that will be 1 CMRI, and we'll put left, call it left buffer, and create it. Oh, doesn't want that. Okay, so we'll call it perhaps CS1, and no, I'm making a mistake there. Like that one, lamp head, light head, LH. We created that one, and we want number 2 to go on the right hand buffer. So we'll create that. I'm going to close these down, and what I'm going to do is create 2 signal masts for them to work with. So we go to the signal masts, we add, and the signaling system. First of all, we go for the mast driver, and what we're going to use is signal head controls mast. I'm going to use Great Western 1931, and right, shouldn't be dull. I'm going to use a two aspect doll, and then so we have, and the username is in left buffer, So we have left buffer. I'm using GWR 1931. You could use British Rail. Where are we? British Rail BR 2000. If you're using a more modern system, a lighting system, saying this is what I'm using, 1931. And what we do is we select left buffer signal head, which we just created, and we want to, all we need that to do is act as a signal for SML, signal mass logic, to see, so that we can put in connecting signal masts, and it only has to say a danger. So we've got disable specific aspects here, so we're going to we don't need it diverging proceed or unlit, so all we need is to have it constantly at danger. So we can create that, and then what we do is we now right click on the buffer stop, set the signal mast. We can go and get left buffer, which we've just created. We're going to put it on the left hand side, which is UK convention, and click done, and we see a cross. If you now click on that cross, it should change into what we're expecting. And if we just move it across up to here, so that's our first signal mast. It's virtual. There's no connection. You couldn't physically connect this up to anything in the real world. It's just that. It doesn't even need to be shown in this panel, but made life easier. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same, exactly the same, the other end. So we're going to add. I'm going to go right buffer, GWR, 2-aspect goal, stayed the same, signal head controlled. We go to right buffer, and we're going to click diverging and unlit because we don't want those. We've created it. You see in our signal mass table, and we can set that there, right buffer. Again, do it on the left, done, and click on it. Oops. Click on it, and it should, there we are. And I'll just shove it across a bit, give us a bit of space. So the next thing we've got to do is create lamps for this. So we've got to create, if we want them going up and down, it's a bit stretching the imagination, just one track with 2 trains going up and down, or 1 train going up and down. But what we're going to do is we're going to do signal mass going in both directions, going eastwards and westwards, or left and right, and we're going to put a home signal and a distance signal on each of these block intersections. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a total of 16 signal heads. And what I'll do is I'll go through the first few, show you how to do them and how I've done them. So we go back to signal heads, and we're going to add, and this time all we want is single output. That's all we need, just a single output, whether it goes green or red, or green and yellow. That's all we need. System name is going to be LH3. Username. Now this is just my convention. It makes it easy for putting this. So I'm going for block 1 to block 2, and this will be the home this will be the home signal. So we need to create a new CMRI, and that will be on number 1, on address number 1. You noticed when we had the virtual ones, they didn't need an address because they're not being powered. They're not physically being powered up. They're just there for JMRI to know about where the end of the track is. And when it's closed, we want it green, and when it's thrown, we want it to go to red. And we create it. Now we want LH4, and we want the distant one. We're going to create another one, so this is number 2. Now this will be green, and it will be yellow as a warning, amber, yellow, oh, I've got green, it should be yellow, and this is the warning for the distant. And we create it. While I'm here, I'm going to create, so I'm going to create a few more heading towards the right hand side. So we've got LH5. Now this one is going from block 2 to block 3, and this will be the home, and its address will be number 3. This one is going to be green and red because this is the home, and I'm going to create that. I've got LH6, block 2 to 3, distant. I'm going to create that one, and that is address number 4, and green and yellow. I'm going to create that. So I'm going to carry on creating the rest. Pause the video there, and I'm then going to populate while I'm off camera. As you can see, I've created all the signal heads for going from left to right. So I've got the distant and home for between blocks 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and 4 and 5. So that's our signals heading from west to east or left to right. I've got to now also generate ones going back the other way. So what I'll do is exactly the same as before. Single output, my system name, and that's going to be LH lamphead 11, space, keep them all the same, 11, username 5 going to 4 home, and I need to update that. That is 9, and that is going to be green and red. Create lamphead 12, 5 to 4 distant, create, and that'll be 10 and yellow, and create. What I'm going to do is I'm going off camera again because you don't want to watch me doing all that. So here we have all our signal heads. So that's a total of 18. We've got our left and right buffers, which are already up there, and they're just virtual. The other ones if I was to change my CMRI from a simulator to the real world, these have addresses in CMRI that I can drive hardware with. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create signal masts similar to the we did on the buffer stops, but these are not going to be virtual. Again, I'm using GWR. Too big. Let's go back again, and we're going to add. Now, again, username, but this is just going from block 1 to block 2, and I'm going to go by my convention, and we're going east. We're heading east. Now, we want the 2 aspect is either red, green, or green and red, or green and yellow, but we want a 3 aspect, which will give us, in effect, our home. It will be able to move both our home and our distance signals. So what we want is a 3 aspect signal bracket, and that opens up these 2 windows, similar to when we did the buffer stops, but we've got the 2 here, and here we can put our block 1 to block 2 home at the top, and our block 1 to block 2 distant. We don't bother with this mask. I don't bother. I don't know why. It's there obviously for more advanced work, and all we need, and down in here we don't need them again to be unlit, so we tick that, but we do not tick these because these are what we want. I think they've got this the wrong way round. Perhaps tick them to enable. I don't know. It's easier to disable them that way. So we've created that one. What we can do now, I'll go straight in, is right click on the boundary, the block boundary, and it comes up with signal masts. And on here we've got, this is where I'm saying about going east, west, north or south. You can see we're heading east, so we want that one put in and done. And that one brings up that one. If we click on it, there we go. So we're going to create the other one heading in its partner on the other side, which I should have done before. So this is going from 2 to 1, and it's heading west. In fact, you don't really need to. I needn't really put this east-west, because going from block 1 to block 2 or block 2 to block 1. So we do the same. We put 2 to 1 home and 2 to 1 distant, and disable the unlit. We'll create it, and we'll go back to our set signal masts, and this time we can populate that one with our heading west one, and done. And there we go. We've now got a pair of masts. I'm going to do the same, create another pair. So we've got 2 to 3 east. I'll put them in now just for the convention side of it. So we're going 2 to 1 home, 2 to 1 distant, disable unlit, create. Okay, I've obviously made a mistake there. So we've got 2 to 3. Yes. big mistake there. It should be 2 to 3 home, and 2 to 3 distant. Now we can create it. Yes, there we go. Allowed me. Create another one. Again, 3 to 2. Heading west. And we go 3 to 2 home, 3 to 2 distant, select unlit and create. Now we've got those created, I'm going to, wrong section, on this boundary of 2 to 3, set the signal masts. Going eastwards it's 2 to 3, going westwards it's 3 to 2. And we're going to put them on both the left hand side. There we are. Created. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go offline and create all the others. So now, as you can see, I've now populated all the block boundaries with their associated signal masts. So what we've now got to do is put in the signal mast logic. So the first thing we'll do is we'll work from this end. As you can see, you click on them, it'll change the aspect. I'm going to right click on it and we go down to here. We're clicking actually on the mast because we need to set the logic for that mast. And we're setting signal mast logic 2 to 1 from block 2 to block 1 going westward. And we're going to add the signal logic. I'm going to do it manually. I've tried it. Apparently it does work quite well if you well, let's try it anyway. Okay, so let's cancel that. I'll just pause there a second. Sorry about that, guys. Something important just cropped up. So I'm going to try the Discover. We'll click on Discover. Yes, layout block routing is not enabled. Do you want it? Yes. And it has been enabled. And signal pairs completed. So we're looking for pairs because that's the whole. I think that's the whole premise of signal mast logic. Is you've got to have signal masts so that you can work out the logic and whether your train can go from one block to the next. And as you can see, what's happened here, if we were traveling from the east to the west, we get a caution because the next stop is red. So if we now go on to this one, and I'll pause there a second again. Sorry about that again. Where were we? I was about to do the logic here. So we right click on this one and again signal mast logic and we'll go for the Discover. Yeah, generation of signaling pairs completed and we'll close that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull up the sensors. As you see, we've got the green one here and then the warning with the distance and then the virtual ends buffer stop there. And I'm going to pull up the sensors table. Oh, bit big. Bring that up here. Move it to somewhere where we can. I'm going to activate sensor 1. Now, this one works okay. It knows that there's something going on in that block, but for some reason, this one isn't. So that shows where discovering doesn't quite work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going back. I'm going to go back in and we'll go to signal mask logic. I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to do it manually. So we're going from block 3.2 to block 2.1. Let's move that out. Let's move that. Close that. So we're going from this block mast to this block mast. It's 2 to 1, and we'll use layout editor paths. And as we're not going through a turnout, I'm not going to bother clicking that one. I haven't played around with it enough to explain. I've tried it with turnouts. That'll be maybe for a future one. But we'll use block details from the layout editor. So we'll click on that, and we'll update the logic signal. Update signal logic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try that. Oh, and it still doesn't work. We have got a problem. 2 seconds. I'm going to sign off there for a moment while I try and resolve this. Hello again. Yeah, don't know what happened there. I had something come up. JMRI can get a bit cranky. Came up with a warning of some description. I cleared it, and now it works. So if I go to select sensor 2, which is in this block, which this mast is protecting, yep, we get the right thing. It's a stop. Now if we can select the sensor for this one, which this mast is protecting, there we go. It's telling us to stop because that is occupied, and this mast going from 3 to 2 is giving us a warning that the next signal is at a red. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this one and signal mask logic. Should we discover? Try this one. Set it to discover. Generate signal pairs. Completed. Okay. And if we go to block 2, yes, that's working good. That's exactly how it should work. And we'll go to this one, signal mast, and we'll have discover. Okay, and we'll pull that and go to there. That's good. And now this block, which this one should protect and this one should warn, we'll go to sensor 3 on block 3, inactive, and that works. So when I did it for the first time, I'm not sure what happened there. And the same for this one, signal mask logic, discover, yes, and this one, signal mask logic, discover. And what we'll do is let's go and have a look in the edit, because that'll tell us. Let's go and have a look at the edit section. That's doing what we did, but this is actually using the turnout details from the layout editor. If I was to take that out, it won't have any significant impact on the logic for just blocks, going between blocks. But obviously if you then start putting it around points, it will have an impact. So you can cancel that and close that one. We've done that one. We'll do this one, signal mask logic, discover, great, and this one, signal mask logic, discover. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the sensors. That's sweet. That's good. That one's warning. That one's working because of that one. That's telling us stop, and that's giving us a warning. Go to the next one down, active and inactive. Now, this is where this has had a problem. That's good. For some reason, it possibly is it. I've done it the wrong way round. Quirky. If you notice, I went from left to right on both of them. This one worked okay. This one didn't. So I'll do that. Do the same there to active. That's working nicely. That's working okay there. But it's funny, it doesn't work correctly. There we go. That's working correctly now. It might have been where it's cycling wrong. And there we are. And then that one there to there. So we've got that one, that red, and that one warning. So that's about it. That's about wrapped it up. Maybe I'll try and get something running, do something similar for one with points on the end.